Welcome to the Flow of Money podcast.
This is where high performance meets financial intelligence. In these discussions, we combine the performance science of flow and flow states with practical wealth management strategies.
The intent is to build a resource for those who believe that high performance mental states can impact wealth and abundance in all its forms so that you can make the impact you want in the time that you have.
Let's get started. I'm Dave Gieselman, flow state coach, breathwork facilitator, and former chef turned high performance nerd. I help leaders and creatives build clarity, confidence, and capacity, teaching the science of staying cool under pressure so you can think clearly and execute fast, especially when things go sideways.
My name is John O'Day, and I'm a financial advisor. My love is cash flow. I truly love the cash flow generated by businesses for the positive impact that this cash flow can have on the owners, their employees, and their broader community. And this cash flow is never more important than when the owners of these businesses start to execute their exit and succession plan. I just love it all and can't wait to help. All right. So here's my question. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Did you have a question that you wanted to tackle today before we get into my question?
Let's hear your question.
Should I use my episodes of flow managing my own wealth? So we've talked a little bit about flow states, using flow states, right? Using flow states around money, right? And we need to go back through another episode. We're going to do another episode on flow states, why we picked flow states and money, the flow of money. We talked in prior episodes around the triggers. We got to layer a bunch of triggers together to potentially have the opportunity to enter into flow state. But what is a flow state? A flow state is a highly optimized cognitive set of conditions that appears such that we can accomplish more in a shorter period of time, more creative, more productive, all sorts of positive aspects associated with flow.
Absolutely.
And we've linked this concept of flow and money. So my question is, do we start to break this question down into where do we point this canon of flow? Do we point it at activities that generate more money? Or do we point it at activities required to do better things with our money? Meaning, right, am I going to enter into flow states picking what stock to buy? Or am I going to enter into flow states picking what to do with the management of my wealth? Is that where I'm going to leverage the opportunities associated with flow? Or is there a broader question of where do I enter into flow and what is the best maximum use of my opportunities for flow? So my question is, do I use my flow states and where in the actual delivery of the service of managing my wealth? Or where money comes from, or the protection of money, the building of wealth and things like that. Because I was starting to think about the flow of money. We talk about flow states and this highly optimized area. Somebody listening might think, well, then I got to figure out how to balance my skills gap, clear goals, focus, layer the trigger so I can enter into flow states so that I can do my money stuff better. And I'm not sure that's actually the conclusion that we're coming to. It may be different than that, but I wanted to have that conversation.
That is a great conversation to have. And so
Is that better than your conversation?
infinitely better than my conversation.
All right, let's have this conversation.
So the question lies in where the juice is.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so if there is excitement that you can generate around your own wealth management, then absolutely. Or if you can create an environment where flow is possible so that you don't necessarily need to have juice around it, but you have other triggers around it.
Tell me more about that.
If you don't like surfing, but you put yourself on a board in the water, paddle out, chase waves, catch one, you will enter a flow state.
Even if I don't like it.
even if you don't like it. Because if you stack triggers properly, which is why there's several different types of flow state that operate differently. So
Let's
there's
talk about
one where
that.
you're laying down doing breath work and you go into transient hypofrontality, your brain takes off, you go somewhere crazy, and so you have this sort of immersive flow state. Then you have like the work productive or creative flow state where, you know, where when you're working, when you're writing, when you're doing your job, when you're doing the thing that you have chosen to do, you create this highly optimized state. And we've talked about it over the time we've worked together, closing doors, blocking off blocks of time, uh, turning turning all devices off, putting them on airplane mode,
Focus, hyper
black
focus, close
screens, hyper
listening,
screen. Yeah, all of
clear
these.
goals,
Yeah, clear goes. All
challenge,
these
skills
pieces.
gap,
Yeah,
novelty,
right.
right?
So there are
All the
lots and
triggers that may
lots.
induce a work oriented flow state.
Correct. In which case, this would be your best opportunity. This would be your highest functioning, highest performance opportunity to do your own wealth management, to explore your own, because uh, we hit that place where action and awareness merge. So you're making quick decisions based on a highly optimized cognitive state, which means you're probably making good decisions. And you'll be in a state. And now not everything you do in flow is like necessarily the best possible decision, but it's really in a good, you're coming from a good place. You're coming from you're making decisions from the best possible cognitive place, right? Rather than sitting there humming and hawing and overthinking and making shopping lists in your head and fielding phone calls and then kind of returning back to a place. All of your focus and all of your attention is going into the current financial state, your current financial plans, what your wealth management goals really are. And so the answer is yes. And it is a great use of flow state, doing your own wealth management. It is also a great use of that state managing other people's financial situations. So when you are picking stocks or however that works, I don't pretend to know what being a financial
Right.
manager looks like.
Sure.
But when you are doing the actual engagement of stock picking, moving things around, making decisions on the behalf of your clients, making the decisions that they are paying you to make, that ideally is done in flow when you have created a highly optimized cognitive place where you've kind of ramped up into this into this cognitive state where your body's engaged, your mind is engaged, there's nothing else but like you running uh like the Matrix. I see you in this like Minority Report environment, moving people's money about and making moves, very Tony Stark esque. I think those, in terms of visually describing flow state, I think like the Tony Stark scenes where he's building and designing that Minority Report sort of idea. I think those are, well, that's not what flow state actually looks like. I think those were very good sort of visual depictions of what that looks like, of what a person in flow state thinks like, operates like. And when you meet certain conditions, which can be met either naturally or artificially, right? You can generate those conditions and then enter into them. Then 20 minutes, you're in flow, and now you're operating in a really good place. The idea that I have a task which is high cognitive load, high consequence. I want to make sure that I am in flow to do it. This is when you build a container in which you have the time, the space, the opportunity, and the triggers to all drop into a flow state.
In the process of making financial decisions, some of the challenge may be making financial decisions as an individual on your own without a sufficient quantity of raw material to work from: skills, training, education, background, knowledge of the steps to the activities. Like, take the surfing example. I'm not sure you enter into flow the first time you surf, right? It's too hard.
That is not accurate.
All right. So tell me more.
All right. So you're going to surf poorly.
Yes.
You are going to,
Yes.
are not going to, you're not
having attempted surfing poorly, I can tell you that the first time you surf poorly.
Super poorly. And
I'm pretty sure no flow states were harmed or created or manifest in the flopping I did on the board in Santa Cruz.
You were completely immersed in the activity. If you go back into your memory, time dilated, there was like, there is a very short, you can't remember the 2 hours you spent or even the 45 minutes you spent in the water floundering. What you remember is either doing it poorly, failing to do it at all, but you were in an environment with enough flow triggers where you were in flow, either getting like catastrophically beaten by the Pacific Ocean,
right,
which I've experienced.
Sure.
Right, which I've experienced, to that moment, the first time that the wave caught your board and you hung on for dear life,
right,
as you catapulted toward the shore, and
right,
then were nearly drowned by the mighty Pacific.
The washing machine action of
so let's not frame flow state as successful operation.
Well, no, I mean, I guess where I was going, not necessarily success, but it felt like that there are some activities where the skills capability gap can be so large that you don't get it as a trigger, right? It's just frustrating.
So that's where the learning happens.
Right.
That's where so what do I need to do? So if I don't have the benefit of John O'Day in my life and I'm trying to manage my own wealth.
Yes.
What I would do, instead of attempting to block a 90-minute period where I am going to download some day trading software and attempt to begin to do things. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making trades. I'm doing things, that arrows pointing up and arrows pointing down, and I'm making the best guesses. I think I would begin blocking 90-minute periods of time to learn how to manage wealth. Right? And I would make sure that I have a 90 to 120 minute block with
clear
no
goals,
interruptions, with clear goals. Here is what I want to do.
Close listening, skills gap, novelty. Right? You may pick up enough triggers that you could program into that time block
to
be productive in that session.
Right. To make the learning optimized. Right. So no, I need to learn how to make those kinds of trades before I actually make those kinds of trades.
And maybe let me frame it this way then, to be curious. I could be using this optimized mental state to start to brainstorm I'm here. I imagine I want to be there. Let's build and imagine what do I need to know and understand and build out the things that I need to learn or people. I mean, you could use these optimized flow states to figure out how to get there or some part of the goal planning process or some part of the understanding of what it means to define money or wealth or right. I mean, there's things a part of the process of managing wealth that isn't really making the buy or sell decisions that could
Right.
be optimized learning steps.
So a crazy new tool for flow state, which is currently my favorite,
Yes.
and I am about to make your regulatory body very, very nervous with this statement, is ChatGPT.
No.
Yes. And okay, so stick with me. Stick with me. So tell me why this is true. Let's look at why this is true. I can put my
Well,
clear goals.
and just so we're clear, most of the large language models that I've tried do I mean, for the vast majority of what we're talking about are a super helpful supplement. So I'm teasing a little bit.
Right.
But take me through the process.
Right. So if I have clear financial goals, right? I'm here
Right.
and I want to be here. I have clear wealth management
Or I
goals.
think they're clear, right?
I think they're clear.
And I want to be rich.
Right. I want to be rich. So, which is, by the way, a great first prompt to start with chat. I want to be rich. Here is where I am starting. Here is where I would like to be in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years, whatever.
Right.
Pop it into ChatGPT. Here's what I'm starting with, right? Here's all my current information. Here are the investments I have. Here's the liquid cash I have. Here are my assets. Here are my liabilities, right? And we can start doing. What you get is immediate feedback, right?
Sure.
So it's the immediate feedback machine.
Immediate feedback is a flow trigger.
Huge, right? So now, and a feeling that I'm in control. So I am
driving the conversation
to ChatGPT.
Yes.
In language that matches my skill level. It will respond to me in language that matches my skill level. If it doesn't, I can say, dial it back, explain it like I'm 5. Tell me more about that. I don't get it. So we now have a perfect skills challenge balance. A perfect skills challenge balance. And then you can ask it, how could I give me some ideas for how I can manage this? And so what's going to happen is you are going to begin a crazy conversation with a super smart LLM that now knows you, that now has let's be clear, do not put financial institution information into ChatGPT, please.
Right. Let's go through all of the disclosures at this point. No proprietary information, no personal information. ChatGPT and most of the large language models have a date stamp on them that is not exactly current. There's all sorts of considerations that you need to make sure that you're thoughtful around. I'm not sure you would diagnose a tumor by putting in symptoms into ChatGPT, but you might get some additional information to help you think through and parse and understand. So it's a helpful thinking partner to go through the process for sure.
Yeah. So that being said,
yes,
as the entire
in September of 2025, the current top of the line, publicly available large language model based artificial intelligence, not perfect in its ability to predictive or current tax code. There's gaps in the process. Now, by the time we publish this may all be wrong, but in our conversation currently, good thinking partner.
in this moment, it's a great thinking partner.
Yeah.
It is a great cognition
It's not
partner.
judgy. It won't pick on you or make you feel bad. There'll be no shame associated with the process. It's just curious and open and has access to information.
Right. And so it is an amazing tool for generating a flow state because it's just sycophantic enough to encourage you to continue to talk to it and to continue to think and 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 get you excited about this idea. It can create plans, you can brainstorm, you can do all this stuff, you can have it explain things that you don't fully understand. It doesn't quite make sense to you. I use it this way all the time to understand. I feel a little out of the loop on this. Can you explain this to me in in some ways that make more sense? I do this a lot of time when people are want to have a conversation with me and they want to bring sort of yoga or sort of the more esoteric or metaphysical topics up, and I just don't have language for it a lot of the time, and I'm like, run me through this and tell me where the Venn diagram overlap is, and I end up learning some really cool stuff. So I end up learning my ability to
Breath
have.
work and yoga nidra, right? There's breath work and yoga nidra, but
Yeah, I'm not trained
there's a
in
Venn
pranayama.
diagram there. What's
Yeah,
that?
I'm not trained in pranayama.
Right.
I don't know anything about it. I know it's breathing. I know that there's certain things. I know what I know, right? I know what I know, and I know enough that I can learn quickly. I have enough of a foundation of knowledge that I can learn quickly. And so if you have a basic understanding of financial vehicles, financial principles, you can start learning really quickly. That being said, run any decision you make through a financial professional before you do it. A live one, um, please. Uh,
There
John
is a
O'Day,
risk
if he
of
is available to you, he may
there is
not
a
be.
risk of hallucination. There is a risk of we are pulling from a vast, and again, depending on the large language model, we're pulling from a vast pool of information, not all of which is aligned in terms of priority recommendations and what's in your best interest as a user. There's all sorts of issues around preferences and restrictions and process. But back to my original question, using, I mean, I don't know how many bouts of flow state I can access in a day, but there's a budget, right? There's an outside limit. Two,
Right, right.
right?
A couple, right? It is fantastically energetically expensive, right? Which is why there's a flow cycle. So there's struggle, then release, then flow, then recovery, and you don't get to have a second bout of flow if you don't recover from the first. Right? There is a cycle that has to be honored. Flow state is fantastically energetically expensive. And if you understand this, then yeah, you could probably do 2-a-days, a couple times a week, right? It is not a state that you can generate every single day, twice a day, endlessly. Just like fight or flight, you're not supposed to live in it. You're not supposed to live in flow.
The
You're
cortisol,
supposed to use it.
the constant cortisol dump of the normal worker's life of low grade stress on a permanent basis is unhealthy, right? It's got to be a stress and release and recover cycle. So it's almost like if we get good at learning how to protect our calendar, manage the process, and budget for a bout of flow, we got to be selective on what we're going to point that at.
Right. But then you can point it at anything that is important to you.
Right.
Right. I would like to learn a thing. I would like to build a thing. I would like to develop some new routines. I would like, I've used it for health and fitness.
I would like 5 flow states per day, please.
Sure.
Can you wave a magic wand and give me a pill so that I could do, because I've got more things that I want to learn and experience.
ChatGPT would love to tell you how to experience flow states 5 times per day, and
Sure.
it will prescribe a detailed process for how you can do that. Enjoy the results of that.
Okay, so if I'm going to choose, right, some of the budgeting decision-making process is going to be, where in order of priority, I got to optimize where I'm going to take these opportunities to experience flow. And what am I going to point this tool at from a flow state standpoint? And what are the relative trade-offs associated with learning something versus moving forward in another area, right? And these trade-offs, right? Is it a hobby that I'm passionate and interested in, or is it an area that I want to grow and develop from a, I don't know, the different, as you describe the areas of wellness that people want to grow and develop in, I typically think physical, emotional, relational, financial, spiritual. What am I
Money, sex,
missing?
health.
All right.
Sex, health.
So
That is
let's,
what people
the
focus on.
three areas, right? If we're pointed at money, even within the umbrella of money to get better at the money processes, I got to decide whether I'm going to enter into, if I'm going to budget 90 minutes of optimized performance, is it getting better at managing my money, or is it delivering the service that I'm the best called to deliver from a financial reward standpoint? Like if I'm an attorney, do I optimize delivering legal services, or do I figure out, my money stuff? And I mean, it may not be a fair trade-off, but at some point we run out of like resources. Like, the flow state's costly from an energy level standpoint. We run out of the energy resources required to flow state both.
It's fascinating that we're talking to a money guy about this because we have finite resources elsewhere, right? We have finite financial resources. So in terms of learning or doing, where's my money better spent?
Right.
Right? Where is
Yes.
my, when I look at, let's use the attorney example.
Yes.
Right? So as an attorney,
Yeah.
do I want to spend my, and let's call money energy, let's call energy, let's call time energy, like, right? Do I want to spend my energy in the delivery of being an attorney? Do I want to spend my energy in the enjoyment of my life outside of being an attorney, this hobby that I'm passionate about?
Yes.
Do I want to spend my energy developing the machine, right?
Yes. Right.
And or do I want to spend my energy developing my relationship, my partnership, my relationship with my
Self,
friends,
friends,
my family,
family, partner, life partner. Right.
whatever. So as a financial guy, if somebody said, I would like to buy a home, open a business, invest in stocks, and donate to charity, how do I make all of those things happen at the same time?
Right. You
And
got
you
trade-offs.
go, great. Let's see how much money you have. Let's see how much resources you have. And let's budget.
We prioritize.
We
right? We start
prioritize.
goals and objectives, hopes and dreams. We got to prioritize because there's trade-offs associated with that.
And maybe the same month we don't dump a bunch of resources into the same things, but we also don't trickle dimes and nickels into everything at the same time, right? We may drop a chunk into this month or this week or today, and then a chunk into this week, this month, or today. And so if we were going to really budget our flow state and say we can hit 7 flow states a week, and everybody's different, you can hit 2 of them twice a week, right? So you can hit So 7 flow states in a week. You can do 3 days, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can hit one a day, and like Saturday and Sunday you can have this flurry of activity where you do something in the morning, take a nap, eat, then do something in the evening that's either like hobby based or relationship based or health based or whatever. And then, during the day, you can do something that's, religious, spiritually based, take your family to church, do whatever it is you do. And Saturday, I'm going to, mow the yard and work on the house and fix the deck and do these things because I love my house and I love
Don't
gardening
mow the
and
deck.
don't mow the deck.
Don't mow the deck.
So looking at it in terms of a budget, you can give a lot to a lot, but it's a planning process, right? It's a nuanced conversation. Some weeks you just have less, right? Some weeks you just have less, and not attempting to pour from an empty cup is really important. Energetically, flow state, cognitively, financially, it's funny
you got to
how
build
much,
up the resources to expend it.
Right. And there are sometimes the week that all the bills hit at the same time is probably not the week to attempt to donate to charity the way you'd really like to.
Yeah. I mean, I think, as I was having this conversation in my head around the flow of money, right, and talking about building triggers around money decisions and money processes, and I'm a listener and I'm in a current money state. I want to be in a different money state in the future. And how do I apply flow, technology, tips, tricks, etc., to get there better, faster, easier? I love the mechanics of the specific actions that are often associated with money, such that I do them anyway. Like the flow states that I enter into around wealth-based conversations, I just find endlessly fascinating, right? And I don't understand why everybody isn't fascinated by it, right? And valuing companies and understanding cash flow and risk and opportunity and models for creating wealth and taxes and all the conversations that happen within this area of money. And I was thinking about it, and I don't want to prescribe to somebody that they need to follow the same flow triggers that I follow, and that we're not prescribing that in particular, right? That your money flow, the processes that you follow by leveraging flow states, may be pointing your flow canon at things that are different, right? That are still going to have a money impact, but maybe a second order, right? In terms of, I have a money goal of being worth $1 million in 10 years. You could point your flow canon at picking the great mutual fund or stock, or you could deliver the service that you have skill and capability in already and do that better and get more value in exchange, a better wage, a better rate. You could manage others and grow value from a scaled perspective and have employees that work underneath you, starting a business. There could be, a place to point your flow canon that moves the needle from a wealth perspective. You don't have to point it at, things that it just may fizzle on the flow trigger capability interest process.
Right.
And that's what I was curious about, right? In terms of, not creating the context where somebody felt guilty that they just didn't love staring at charts and analyzing investment products and trying to create the triggers to joyfully enter into the flow states, to lose 90 minutes in analysis and education and learning around esoteric financial facts and metrics and detail.
And those people would never block off 90 minutes to do it. They would hire John O'Day. Like, that's what
Explain
they
to
would
me
do.
again the implications of information ratio, Dave.
Right. Right. No, yeah. So, but the same. So if the first time you ever tried surfing, you went to Jaws, right? Which is a famous big wave surf point, right? If the first time you ever tried surfing, you went to Jaws, the likelihood is you would perish,
That's not
right?
good.
Yeah. Uh, Surfing for the first time in Santa Cruz or Santa Monica is a great place to kind of get dumped off your board a few times and paddle out and get into the process. And if you're not sure that you like surfing, right? But you're probably pretty sure you like the water. So if I'm not sure that I am cut out for like high level financial maneuvering, but I like the idea of participating in sort of my own financial future, then maybe a few learning sessions, either with ChatGPT or an online class or something, and find out if it creates juice for you. Right? Find out if I don't know where to begin, have the conversation with ChatGPT. I don't even know where to begin. I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I don't. Talk to somebody like John. Talk to somebody, I don't I think I'd be interested in that. I know I have a goal, but am I the person that I want to get me there, or do I want to outsource that? For myself, that is 100% outsourced. I love what I do, and watching lines go up and down and watching numbers turn red and then green and then red and little arrows. I would rather personally be set on fire. And I know that there's a tremendous amount of juice in it
Right.
for you.
Right. Right. No, I think the tool of flow states is just that, right? It's a tool to optimize the resource that we have, right? Which is time and energy, attention, right? We've got limited resources. And most of us, if there are 3 or 4 key areas we want excellence in, money is one of them, right?
For sure.
We want to make sure that flow states are optimized and pointed in the right direction, where from a priority trade-off standpoint, we get as much oomph of money value we can for every limited flow state we can trigger, right? I want that upside.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
Okay. Well, thank you for engaging with me in that question of flow of money using flow states. Where into that conversation do we break apart? All right. So I'm starting to better understand flow as a tool. How do I point it back to this idea of I want to be worth more? And does that mean that I have to point it at doing money stuff, or can it be pointed somewhere else?
Well, and understanding the economy of energy,
Right.
right? Understanding the economy of energy is my greatest wealth management in the turning of the dials of wealth, or is it in delivering what I do really well? Right? And is there enjoyment in learning about this thing? And so I think it's as we talk about like the flow of money and using flow states, using these tools and understanding that so if we use flow state as fuel, right? If we use flow state as fuel, and we can dump fuel into anything we want, is trying to understand the infinitely complex world of finance, the place that I want to dump a bunch of fuel, or would I rather hand that off to someone like you and then take that fuel and dump it into exploring things that I love, into surfing, into breath work, into mountain climbing, running, being with my kids, building my deck, cultivating my garden.
Don't mow your deck.
Don't mow your deck. But all of these things have a tremendous amount of value
Yeah, I
if they
think
have
there's
value
leverage.
to you.
Yeah, I think there's leverage and scale there. In addition to the power of flow states, I think there's a leveraging or a scale effect if it's pointed at something that you can layer upon itself, right? That it's additive, that you bring in your own passion and interest and energy. And it's not, I'm not pointing it at, something that I know I have to do, but more and more if it's can be pointed at those things that serve double duty, right? I have to do, I want to do, and I'm interested in doing them.
Absolutely. And really outsource those other things. I love to talk about like the 3 points that really drive an enjoyable life. And so there's nervous system regulation, which is the lube. It keeps everything moving well.
Right.
If I'm doing something and 10 minutes in, my shoulders are pinned to my ears, I'm anxious, I'm stressed out, that's not an optimal thing for me to be doing. So if I can, so nervous system regulation is the lube that keeps everything going well. And if I can maintain a regulated nervous system while I'm doing it, flow state is the fuel, right? So that means, so anything that I am excited about, which means my nervous system is into, right? Like I like this, I'm interested in it, or I think it serves, I'm willing to be uncomfortable because I believe it serves good value for me to go through the uncomfortable process of learning something. But I want to, damn it. I think it's cool. I want to learn the intricacies of trading, of wealth management, of wealth growth. Then we hit that flow state. Then you create those flow states that now I can really get a lot of bang for my buck out of those flow states and learn an accelerated rate, all of which can be guided by your values. And your values is the navigation system, right? Your values is the navigation system in which all of it doesn't matter what you do. If it's not in alignment with your values, then you're kind of guessing, you're flying blind. And so to be really, really clear about your values. So you have nervous system management is the lube, flow state is the fuel, and values are the navigation system. If I know where I want to be, and I know that I kind of enjoy the financial conversations, even if it's challenging for me, but I enjoy learning about it, so it's within my values, then I know that I'm within this triangle, and I can really get a lot of juice out of this. If having deep and complex financial conversations only stresses me out, and as a guy with ADHD, it does. My wife loves it. Her mind works like a Trello board filled with Excel spreadsheets.
Yep.
And she is amazing,
Right.
and just loves at just the complexity, and it's amazing. And I watch her go into like matrix mode. I watch her like moving, like I watch her like have this like Minority Report moment, with Trello and financial stuff and and airline miles and all this crazy points, and it's lost on me, and it stresses me out. There's no part of me that wants to engage in that.
Right.
But
Right.
I watch her drop into flow state, talking about it and making these arrangements and doing all this stuff. And so, because it's in alignment with her values, it's just not where my value lies. Right? It's not where my values are. So being real clear about your values. And so going back to the very beginning of this conversation, should I point flow state at managing my own financial situation? only if you get juice out of it. And if not, outsource it.
Right. No, I think that aligns with how I was thinking this was going to go. I mean, in many organizations, you turn this into a business discussion. That the day you start your company, you are in each spot on the org chart, right? Your name is in each box, right? Chairman, CEO, CFO, CIO, head of sales, marketing, business development, operations, HR, maintenance, and the cleaning crew, right? Your name is in every one of those boxes. And, at some point, while you could, provided you can move through the early stages to generate value, excess value that you don't spend, you might scale faster if you write other names in them where now you're managing them. I just, firing yourself from some of those boxes often makes everything go faster, right? Finding that person that is endlessly fascinated and dropping into flow, doing spreadsheets, if that gives you hives, right? Now everything is done faster, right? Because you found somebody whose optimized state is pointed at that, and you were slower and worse at it before, right?
Right.
Even though you could, right? And
Even though
sometimes you have to for some period of time.
Ideally, and this is a great example, and it's a great sort of visual, if you can one by name replace your name in every box where you don't find flow with somebody's name who does, right? So ultimately, the ultimate goal is your name is only in the boxes in which you can find flow. That you are uniquely good at this, uniquely qualified at this, or uniquely enjoy it. And I think if we look at growing our financial situation in kind of the same way, when you first start, you're like the chief investor, you're the guy.
That's right. There's some early basic stuff that you have to do yourself because you may not be able to delegate, outsource, partner, remove your name from that part of the responsibility. And it may be true that as you ChatGPT your way through discovery, right? What can I do? NerdWallet or Freakonomics or, Googling, right? Just doing some basic research to figure out how to get pointed in that direction. Books are, get some basic knowledge to push yourself to the point where you have resources sufficient where you can get out of that. And then you're pointed at, how do I properly manage that person, right? Do I have enough skill and capability to manage that person effectively, that role and that capability, so that, and I think that's the next stage of scale that many people don't spend time figuring out, is whether in a business or in their own life. You and I both know technically smart individuals who are passionate about their calling, start their own enterprise, grow it to a certain level, but they never really learned how to manage others in a way that was healthy and positive and scaling in that direction. And learning that you haven't abdicated the decision, you've delegated, but it needed to come with mutual goals and check-in and measurable expectations that were fair and clear, right? To delegate and manage. And that takes some skill in and of itself, right? To know enough about the job that you're delegating to be able to come up with fair goals and criteria and measurement and responsibility and, risk management, right? If you hire a CFO, you don't want them to steal from you, right? How do you build in protections into the process? If you hire a, HR professional, you want to make sure that they've got the skill and capability to keep you out of, wage and hour compliance problems, right? Understanding to some degree so that you can manage these people as you grow and scale. Same is true in your own life, right? And, probably takes you mistakes to work through it, right? And from a health and fitness standpoint, right? You Google, doing 1,000 push-ups is the only way to get healthy. And then you just do that. And then all of a sudden you realize there's probably a better way out there, right? And you continue to improve, and maybe, certain sources of wellness information you learn are maybe not in your best interest.
Right. And so not fearing mistakes, like
Right.
not fearing it, and doubling down on what you are good at and you love, and outsourcing what you're not good at and you don't. Right. And not learning enough about something to outsource it well. Right. To hire that HR person, go, I don't know what I need in a CFO. Right. And then you work with an HR person or an HR consultant or a fractional or something,
Right. You
and
build a process for it.
have them help you hire a CFO. If you are clear that you are not the best manager of humans, which not everybody is,
Right.
That not everybody has that skill set. Not everybody should have that skill set. Some people are,
their talents lie in other areas. Let's just say it that way.
Their talents lie in other areas. But being self-aware and understanding that this is where like my blind spots are, right? And then going, but I really want a great team that feels comfortable, feels nurtured, feels whatever. And so then I go, I need to outsource that because I know I'm not good at it. That enables your company to grow at a really amazing rate. And it allows the people around you to feel safe, to feel supported. Like, I brought in a fractional HR person because I'm not really good at this part. But I want to grow. I know that I need to delegate, and I know I'm not very good at it. So they're going to help me do this, and I am going to trust them. So look, LeBron James doesn't have a coach because he sucks at basketball.
Right.
He has a coach because he knows that he has blind spots and he can't play the game and watch himself play the game at the same time. He probably loves talking about basketball, right? And he's probably not the best judge of his like biomechanics, of his kinesiology. So he has people that are watching every practice, every game. They're watching him jump. They're watching him run. They're watching him breathe and going, here are the blind spots. Here's how you become a better athlete. And so he doesn't need to learn all that stuff. He needs to outsource that stuff.
Yeah. Partner, outsource, in some capacity, build a process to issue spot, identify, brainstorm, and problem solve. Yep.
Right. And if it's not something you're interested in, then don't try to do it because you think you should. If you're not interested in it, don't be interested in it.
Good. That's all I wanted to cover on that.
It's a great conversation. If you have no idea how many people have try to do stuff that they have no interest in, and they don't need to.
Well, and again, anybody could be entering into this conversation at any point in the wealth spectrum. There may be a period of time where there is some hard parts that you got to do and get through for some period of time, and try to get to that next point in the level where you could reset down a little bit and afford components to get you to the next level. Beyond that.
But the same thing is true in the health space. You're right. You start with sit-ups and push-ups, and until you can go to the gym, until you can run a mile, until you can do whatever, and you enter at the point that you enter. I think a really important point is whether we're looking at this in terms of health, wealth, finances, relationships, hobbies, anything. Enter at the point you're at. Enter at the point you're at. Don't apologize for where you are. Don't feel like you should have entered it. I should know this stuff better than, but you don't. Put the shoulds away. Enter where you are. Build the necessary tools for a basic process. And if you don't enjoy the process, then outsource it. Partner. Do something else. But I think I think, and this is one of the reasons why we enjoy these conversations so much, is because yes, we're talking about flow state. Yes, we're talking about money. Yes, we're talking about wealth, but you can take just about anything in your life and apply the same principles to what we're talking about, whether we're talking about wealth, finances, health, whatever, building a business, starting a new relationship, learning how to play the trumpet, whatever it is. And we can take these principles and we can budget our time and energy, right? And focus. And we can use these same tools that we can use to build our wealth, to build our trumpet playing abilities, to build our physiques, to build our discipline, to build our libraries, whatever it is.
Yep. I'm with you. Yes.
John and Day, always good to talk to you.
It's always good to talk to me.
And I will see you next week. Thanks for listening to the Flow of Money podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Learn more about John and Dave at theflowofmoneypodcast.com. If you liked this episode, share it with someone who's ready to step into flow. If you're interested in sponsorship or collaboration, we'd love to hear from you. See you next time.
Hey, before you go, this is John O'Day here with a quick note. I am affiliated with Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, and my investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. Dave Gieselman, my partner, is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. Any opinions are mine and Dave's. These opinions are not necessarily those of Raymond James. Every investor situation is unique, and you should consider your investment goals, risk tolerance, and time horizon before making any investment decisions. Neither Raymond James Financial Services nor Raymond James Financial Advisors render any tax advice. Tax matters should be discussed with your tax advisor. This podcast is for investor education purposes only and is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for investment advice. Consult your investment advisor before making investment decisions.